reflect, in case there is some issue later, which I doubt there would be. I noticed that Mr. Durst's bag was somewhat full, so I spoke to defense counsel about it. I told him it needed to be changed. I volunteered. I said I would do it. They told me that they didn't want to do it. They said if I wanted to do it, they appreciated it. I went back with the bailiff and I changed his bag for him. Certainly it's unorthodox and it's unusual, but I just want to make sure. Who knows how this comes up at a later point, but Mr. Durst agreed. We went back, the bailiff was with us, so I said to him, you know, I just wanted to try to help you. I'm more than happy to do it. Do you want me to change it? He said, thank you, I changed it. Just want to make sure that's on the record in case at some later point in time there is some allegation of whatever might come up.
Oh, Mr. Lewin, I think you mentioned before you had experience with this. Thank you for lending a hand. And I don't know.
No problem.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you wash your hands?
I did.
Wait, I'm telling you.
Okay. This
Well,
could become
somebody needed to do it, Jay.
Those good old
You need
high
to get
school
it done.
days. Huh?
Thank you.
It's Mr. Clethen, which was my witness. If you
Oh, okay.
would like me to sit here, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'll get out of the way. Can I have one of these, or you want it?
I don't
So you don't need it.
Mr. Durst is present. Mr. Chesnoff and Mr. DeGuerin and the people who represented Mr. Henderson at council table, his colleagues seated nearby. Our jurors and alternates all are present. I believe that now we are going to see recordings of witnesses who testified previously under conditional examination. Is that right, Mr. Henderson?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Which witness will you present first?
First is Alfred Clethen. It's a 43-minute video. I'd like to mark the DVD of that video as 137. The transcript is 137A.
You may proceed.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in the constitutional authentic before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Please be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name.
Alfred Clethen, C-L, first name spelled or?
Both.
Oh.
First and last name.
A-L-F-R-E-D, Clethen, C-L-E-T-H-E-N.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
A couple of things. I write, I perform, and I work in the cannabis industry.
The new and growing industry in California.
The new gold rush.
Okay. Are you, what kind of,
No objection to cops about that.
what kind of writing do you do?
Right now, I'm finishing up a play I wrote about my life, and it's something that's a collection of my life in show business. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing how things have sculpted me to be who I am, and so I just collected all these stories and put them together.
All right. And you said you write, you perform.
Oh, yes, comedy. I should have said that.
Comedy.
Comedy, yes. Yeah, since I've been doing that for over, almost 40 years.
All right. Well, let's go down back to the year 2000.
Okay.
What were you doing back then?
I was working for Christie's of Beverly Hills, the auction house in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
I was performing stand-up and writing, just like now.
Okay. And were you married back then?
Yes, technically, she went to New York.
She
My wife had wanted to move to New York, and I figured her in New York at the same time was too much, so we decided to stay in California.
Okay. Are you currently married to her anymore?
No, but I am married again. There was someone I met 20 years ago when I first moved to LA, and we hooked up.
We don't need to know about that right now.
Just give me the wrap it up sign.
That's okay. All right. I just want to use when your wife left and went to New York as a reference point in time for you. That was in the year 2000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When, just very briefly, this will lead to some other questions I'm going to ask you. Just financially, what state of your life were you in back then?
It was starving artist times 10. It was, things. I was getting little writing gigs here. And I had my job at Christie's for insurance, and when you're an artist, you need insurance. So I got a job at Christie's, and they were really nice over there, really great people, and they actually worked with my schedule. I worked there, go home, write, and then do it. So a little money here. It wasn't not enough. Just enough to pay rent.
Okay. You were making what money you could to survive.
Right? Yeah.
And you were trying to be a writer.
I was a writer.
You were a writer. You were doing stand-up.
Yeah, I was writing for television too around that time.
Are you familiar with a woman named Susan Berman?
Yes, I am.
All right. How do you know Susan Berman?
I met Susan at Pavilions. There's a laundry mat in the strip mall, the Pavilions is, which is now, I think, something else. But I would go there, get my laundry, and do it and just write or read while I was doing it. And that's when I met Susan there. We just struck up a conversation. We became friends.
Okay.
So, Mr. Clethen, will you listen to the question and answer only the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
I'm going to put up what previously marked with people's 11. You look at that picture. You see Susan in that picture?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Where is she in that picture?
She's in the middle.
All right. When you first met her, did the two of you learn when you started conversing with her that you shared a common interest?
Yeah, she was a writer as well. She was much more advanced than I was. I mean, she had been, yes.
Did you guys ever work together, share ideas, things of that nature regarding that?
Yes, but I was doing punch-up on a movie she wrote, and I actually sent her a copy with me. I think this one was, there was two scripts. She had a script called High Rollers, and another one for a TV show that I was punching up for.
And just for those of us who don't know what that means, what does punching up mean?
Make it funny.
Okay. Sorry.
And just another point of view.
And what year was it that you met?
It's around 2000, I believe it's 2000.
Okay. Let's put it this way. Did you eventually learn that she died?
Yeah, yes.
And I guess using that as a frame of time reference, for how long did you know her? Approximately?
A few months. I believe summer, spring, or then we became friends, and then, so it's quite a year.
Okay. So are you saying that you believe you met her sometime in the spring or the summer and knew her from that point in time for a period of months until she eventually died?
Yes.
During that time that you knew her, how good friends did you get?
We were pretty good. She's my Jewish mother.
What do you mean?
She helped me.
I'd rather have the witness do. Go ahead. What does that mean?
Oh, because I was, she looked out for me, really. I mean, she was, what did she call me, a mensch? There's a word.
That's good. Mention's good.
Yeah, oh, so
Yeah,
that's something good. Okay.
he's your man.
But, yeah, and she was like a, you know, she's all about it. She was more like a sister. She was everything. She was just a great person. She confidence in my writing style. She would actually read stuff that I wrote, which a lot of people don't do. And, you know, we would talk on the phone a lot. And when she needed something, I would try to be there for her.
Okay.
And vice versa.
How often would you talk?
Almost every day, like every other day. But at least, I would say at least 4 times a week, 4 or 5 times a week.
How often would you see her?
I would say maybe, God, you mean all together? That's kind of hard because we'd see off and on, we'd see. So a number of times, we'd see each other. But,
Okay. Had you ever visited her at her Benedict Canyon home?
yes,
You did? The one on Benedict Canyon?
yes,
How many times do you recall going to visit her there?
about 3 or 4. Maybe.
Okay. Is it possible it was 2 times? In other words, do you recall telling us previously that you've been to that home, to the best of your memory, approximately 2 times?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. Do you remember for what purposes you went there?
To work, you know, to work together, to eat, and to her dogs, I believe. We took them to the vet, I don't know if I ever had as well. She had 2 dogs.
Okay. What, describe to the best of your ability Susan's personality.
Very optimistic in a cynical way. You know, she had a really good sense of humor. She was always focused on writing and being creative. And she was in a bad spot, just like I was. But she was a really sweet person, you know. And you know, she would call me for help and things. You know, just needing something here or there, and I would do the same for her. And it was a good relationship, because at that time too, like I said, I was alone in LA, my wife had left, and she looked out for me. She made sure I ate, you know, good food and stuff as well.
Okay. And what was her financial situation based on your observations for her at this time?
It was bad. She was, her apartment was pretty bare, you know, that, you know, there's nothing, she was hurting financially.
So your testimony that notwithstanding how she was hurting financially, she did what she could to help you?
Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry.
Notwithstanding she didn't have a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
would she do what she could to help you?
Oh, yeah. She was always, you know, with a meal, a soup she made, or just a kind word, or a word to kick me in my ass, excuse my language.
It's fine.
But she was always, you know, she was just a good person to have behind you. You know, she was, well, you know, she was Susan.
Sure.
You know, that's what makes, you know, she had her things, but that's what makes people, that's what friends are for, you know, that's what builds character.
From your perspective, did Susan kind of take you on as a mentor?
Yes,
And was she helpful?
very much so,
Was she generous?
very much so.
Was she kind?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah.
Did she have any qualities that you previously described as kind of neuroses?
Yes,
What do you mean by that?
she was terrified of eggs. Which was, you know, I used to laugh at her about that, but now, and she would, she had phobias, like she had called me one time, and I had to work, and I wasn't able to get there at all, but she did find somebody to, it's either an eye doctor appointment or a dentist appointment. It was on the 2nd or 3rd floor of a building in Beverly Hills, and she was terrified of stairs and elevators. And she was just terrified. And she needed someone to walk her. I mean, she was desperate for someone to walk her up the stairs.
I understand. Notwithstanding these qualities that you kind of described as neuroses, did they at all interfere with your friendship?
No, I probably had more neuroses than she did. It's nice to have something in common.
We all have some neuroses.
Yeah.
On the occasions that you visited Susan Berman on her home in Benedict Canyon, what was it like when you were arriving at her home and getting inside?
No, it wasn't easy. I mean, she was very protective, secretive, or just, I don't know where, but anyway, you had to knock, she would not answer her door. Even if it was working, she would never, she was always, she had to know when you were coming over. Me, that is.
So the times that you came, you went to her home.
Yes.
Did you kind of have to let her know you were coming?
Yeah, she knew before when I was coming.
And when you arrived, you said something about the dogs. Tell us what the dogs were like when you arrived at the front door.
The dog would bark with everything, and she would, you know, you could hear them. But sometimes you'd not be there, and she would not, you know, but then she, of course. I'm sorry, did I do something?
No, you're doing great. Let me stop there and ask the next question. When you would knock on the door, would she, occasions you were there, ever open the door without saying something to you through the door?
No.
What would she say?
Who is it?
And after you announce yourself, then what would happen?
She'd do her little squeaky voice. Ow! You know, she'd have this way of speaking, and the door would be really happy to see me.
Okay. And when you'd enter her home, can you testify, to the best of your memory, whether she would lock the door behind her?
Yes.
What's your testimony?
Yes, she would lock the door behind her.
Do you have any doubt about that?
Oh, no doubt at all.
Did you, were you ever allowed into either of her bedrooms?
No.
Tell us more about that.
Well,
That's okay too. That's okay too. If they ask for it, that's how it works. Good.
I let you off.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, okay.
The bed, it was really interesting because we would spend most of our time, if you go into Susan's house, it was cold and empty. It was very barren, and the kitchen. But her bedroom door, she would keep the dogs, the 2 dogs, in the bedroom. But I never saw the inside of the bedroom. I really didn't think much of it until I don't know if I can talk about this, but I saw.
When there's a question about it, you can.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
Follow up. Do you have a question about that?
bedroom, I finally did see it.
What were the circumstances you said?
I saw it on the Jinx,
Oh, we don't, so, that's
and
fine.
it broke my heart. Because now I know why she didn't want anybody. It was horrible. It was, poor thing, you know, she was embarrassed.
Do you watch the Jinx?
Yes, I did.
And you're saying you saw some footage on the Jinx?
Yes,
And just listen to my question. And some of that footage depicted the interior of Susan Berman's home?
yes.
And are you saying that when you saw that, that kind of emotionally affected you and made you think of why she never let you in her living?
Yes.
First of all, I have a photograph marked previously as People's 36. May I show this?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yes. And my picture might be on there.
Is this what the, I'm sorry, your what?
My picture might be on there somewhere. Say on my headshot. That picture just.
I apologize, I chose the wrong picture. But is that what the home looks like?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm showing you what has been marked as 45 previously.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is this the photograph?
Yeah, it just breaks my heart.
And is this the condition you're speaking about that you saw on the Jinx that kind of affected you? All right.
Which photo was, that was 30?
That was 45.
45. Thank you.
Based on Susan Berman's habits and customs that she displayed in front of you, the times that you were with her, she appeared to you to be like the type of person who would open her front door to a stranger unannounced. And he never. That's against, based on your knowledge of Susan Berman. undetected person who would open her front door to an unannounced stranger meeting?
Never, no.
Do you have any doubt about that?
No doubt whatsoever.
Have you ever heard of an individual named Robert Durst,
Yes, I have.
other than from the media or the chains?
Yes, Susan.
When did you first hear about Robert Durst?
When first she talked about her life when she was writing for Vanity Fair, and she spoke so highly of him, she loved him. And she would always talk about her friend Bobby, she would call him Bobby.
How often did she speak about Bob?
All the time, because she would, you know, he was her best friend. I mean, just all she talked about was Bobby. And first, you know, I didn't know she was.
Let me ask you a question. Did she ever speak about any of her other friends, other than Bob?
No,
Only Bob.
only Bobby.
What kind of things would you say about Bobby?
What a nice guy he was, and how he was actually supposed to come to town around the holidays and take everybody out to dinner. We were supposed to have a big party with me, her, and there was a friend of hers, and we were all supposed to get together because, you know, we all wanted to go out. It was a sad time, so.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
What when you say it was a sad time, what do you mean?
A sad time, just work. I mean, just the situations we were in. You know, it was kind of like, you know, it was grueling, but it was just a hard time, especially when you reach a certain age. It gets really rough in Hollywood, you know, and, you know, just trying to get those meetings and trying to do this and that. She's always trying to get a meeting and they weren't working out.
Did she ever talk to you about Bobby's financial situation?
Yes, yeah, she mentioned, well, only the part that he could show us a good time, that he was rich, and that he was going to, we're all going to party when he comes to town. It was like something that she was just really, and I was, because we had to put some things in common, which I mentioned earlier, probably.
You and who?
Yes.
What did Susan tell you that you guys might have in common?
Okay, well, at the time, okay, can I just?
He asked you, but you can tell, yeah.
He,
It's legal now.
but it's still, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Statute of limitations. Yeah, it's right.
Well, the LA was really dry around that time, and it was, you know, it was hard to find anything then. So, you know,
Were we talking about marijuana?
cannabis.
Did I use a politically incorrect term?
Yes, you did. Actually, marijuana is a politically incorrect term, so can I say it?
Yeah.
It's a racist term, marijuana. Do you know that?
I did not know that. I
Yes,
apologize.
that is what we're doing. It's because Maria and Juan, during in the 30s and 40s, they would call it that, like Mary Juan, like to, you know, just to kind of degrade.
I apologize. I did
No,
not.
yeah, we all know something. Cannabis. And we've had them too. But no, but she told me he liked to grow cannabis, and I did too. And I didn't have any, and he was actually going to have some. And, you know, we were all, you know, it was a good time. I mean, I'm not really a drinker or anything, I just would rather have my cannabis if I was going to be a
Okay.
yeah.
And did she, do you remember the last time you saw Susan Berman?
Yes,
Where was it?
in the laundry parking lot where I had met her at the laundry, right outside the laundry mat. I had gotten off work. I was working for Christie's, and I had wrenched my back, or just this, my back, you know, was just really screwed up. So I was going home early. I stopped at Pavilions to get something, I didn't even know what, and this car, this like SUV pulls up, and
Let me stop you there. Had you seen that SUV before?
never,
Did you see who got out of the SUV?
yes I did.
Who was it?
Susan.
Okay.
And she was so happy. She's like, I go, Susan. But I think her car before was just in real bad. I mean, it was like duct taped. So, you know,
Are you, sorry to interrupt. When you say it was like duct tape, seriously, are you using hyperbole or were you actually duct tape on the car?
there was duct tape on the car, if I remember, on the hood. and stuff. It was just really bad. The car you wouldn't want to drive down, it's really hot because it just has that overeating look.
Okay, that's fine. This car you saw her in, was it in better condition?
No, I was surprised she bought that car, actually.
Did she tell you anything about the car and how she afforded it?
She said, I go, where did you get that? And she said she got an inheritance. And I don't know, it struck me as odd because I knew, because we had spoken about her financial situation, that she had exhausted all of her resources or
How long before her death was this meeting?
I'm sorry.
How long before her death was this meeting where you saw her?
It was about a week, it was like a week before.
And did you ever see her again?
Nope.
Did you have plans to meet with her?
Well, that day, she had told me to, I was talking about my back, and I was just gonna go home and lay down. She goes, well, I have some Vicodin, maybe if you want it. I'm like, maybe we'll see. I'm just gonna go home and, see what happens. It was really hurting. So I went and I didn't call her for a couple days, and I felt bad. I thought she was mad at me because I knew we were supposed to have these plans to go out coming up, and I didn't hear anything. I thought she was mad. I actually called and left a message for her on her machine. I didn't hear anything. Then, a couple days later, I was taking a shower, and I was coming out of the shower, driving off, and I was having my TV on, and I looked just on the screen, and I saw this picture of this tiny, child, a small girl, and I'm like, that's Susan, because I had her books, I knew what her baby pictures looked like. I go, that's Susan, oh my God. And that's how I found out
She had been killed.
she had been murdered.
Last area I want to cover with you, so I want to go back to this conversation you had with Susan, where she said that Bobby was coming down, you guys were all going to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
When was this conversation in relation to her death?
Not long before.
Okay. And what exactly did she say?
She said, Bobby was coming. Bobby, it's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to take us all out to dinner and have a big party, with some of our other friends. This producer guy, I don't even know his name. And it was going to be fun. Bobby's going to take care of everything.
And did she say he was coming to Los Angeles?
Yes.
Did she say when he was coming?
Around the holidays.
And by the holidays, what months are we referring to?
That's Christmas.
Just once again, because I kind of interrupted you. When you say the holidays, are you referring to Christmas?
Yes, Christmas.
And you're saying you had this discussion approximately how long before the holidays? When do you estimate?
Not more than a week, a few days.
How certain are you as you sit here today that Susan Berman told you that her friend Bob was coming down to Los Angeles around the holidays?
I've never been more certain about anything in my life. He was supposed to come. 100%.
Is there a particular reason that this conversation sticks out in your mind?
Yes, because I was a starving artist, and I wanted, I hadn't had much fun lately. It would be good to get out. I'd become secluded in my little mountain home, and I just want to get out. I needed to blow some steam and on somebody else's check, basically.
You're looking forward to being shown a good time?
Basically, yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Clethen, no, just okay.
Yeah, it's Cleveland, by the way.
So, Mr. Bailey just asked you about the conversation you had with Ms. Berman where she indicated her friend Bobby was going to come for the holidays, you used the plural when you said that. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that, in your mind, was Thanksgiving, Christmas. It wasn't specific to Christmas, was it?
Actually, it was because there's all kinds of holidays between before Christmas, and I can consider pretty much December pretty much all holiday time. As Christmas season starts, it's parties and such.
So you were interviewed by Mr. Lewin, are you not?
Yes.
You tape recorded it?
I don't know, I didn't.
No, he did.
Uh-huh.
Is that, remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember being interviewed by Mr. Lewin?
I was interviewed by a few people, I think. I don't know.
Okay. And do you remember being asked, but you said that you have a specific memory of her saying he's, oh yeah, no, I remember talking about it, yeah. And then the question from Mr. Lewin was that he's coming down in December. And your answer is, oh no, not verbatim, not in December. It was around that time, and it was around the holidays, I remember.
Right.
What did you mean when you said
But
that?
I mean, see, when Thanksgiving, that whole time is holiday time for me, from November to February. And sometimes I'll put Thanksgiving and Christmas together because they seem so close. But Christmas is my actual holiday, what I meant was, but the holidays with school and everything usually starts at Thanksgiving, and that's what confused me at the time. But now I remember that it was Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. So would you look, please, at what you said?
It's on the screen here too. You see
Take
it?
a moment to read it.
What page are we on?
31,
But mine?
starting at line D. I'm sorry, line 11.
Oh, 11, okay. You said yes. It was, I know I said.
No, sir, there's no question.
Just read it and then he'll ask you a question when this is fresh in your mind.
And this interview occurred closer in time to events, correct, than today, correct?
I'm sorry?
That interview occurred closer in time to the actual event where Miss Berman talked to you about her friend Bobby coming, correct?
Yes.
And when you were meeting with these folks, you were trying to be as accurate as you could, correct?
Correct.
That's because they were investigating the homicide of your friend, right? Correct?
Correct.
And you listened to their questions, correct?
Correct.
And you tried to answer them as clearly as you could, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you specifically say, no, I remember talking about it, yeah. And then Mr. Lewin leads you to that he's coming down in December. And you say, oh no, not verbatim, not in December. Did you say that?
He answered it as such, right? He answered it, this was your answer back then.
Yes.
Okay. At the time you gave this answer, you were trying to be truthful, correct?
Correct.
You were trying to share as much information as you could, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you remember speaking to police officers in January just after Ms. Berman's homicide?
Barely.
Okay. Remember speaking to a Detective Hayes?
Yes. I did talk to the detective, so I don't remember his Hayes, I don't remember the names.
You told them that you were a writer that was a friend of Ms. Berman's?
Yes.
During those conversations, do you recall telling anything to those policemen about Mr. Durst?
I don't recall the whole interview, man.
You have no memory of ever saying to the
I mean,
police,
I have no memory of a lot of things, man. No, yeah.
is that the cannabis?
Well, no, because I don't have that short-term memory.
As you sit here, you have no memory of ever mentioning Mr. Durst to the police, correct?
To my recollection, no, I can't think of it. Yes,
When were you, so this is in 2001, move forward to the mid 2015, 2016. How were you contacted about talking to the authorities again? Who contacted you? Do you remember?
I really, it might have been Mr. Durst, but I think there was somebody else. I really couldn't tell you that.
Okay, and when they called you, did you talk to them?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, so was before you had the interview that we've just been reading from, did they have an interview with you that was not recorded?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did they go over an outline with you of the things that they wanted to ask you?
I don't recall.
Have you read about the case in books or watched? Well, I know you said you watched the case.
Yes.
Have you read any of the books or magazine articles?
I read, what was it? There was a book, Murder of a Mafia Princess, I believe. I read that one.
That's about Susan?
Yes, yes.
And actually, did you express that you were surprised that you were called after all those years to talk about this?
Yes.
Okay, you told that to your girlfriend, I believe?
I believe she was my wife then.
Your wife, okay.
But wait, what, oh, come on.
But between the time you spoke to the police in January of 2001 and your interview in 2016, you had not had any, or 2015, I'm sorry, you had never had any conversations with law enforcement about Susan Berman, had you?
I don't recall that.
Could Susan be overly dramatic?
I'm going to say no because that's not a good word for it. I mean, she was passionate about things, and she had her opinions.
Did you ever meet her landlady?
No.
Did you ever meet her manager, Law&Crime?
I don't think I ever met Lyle. No.
She talked.
Not a whole lot, yeah. I remember she had a manager she talked about, because I was probably trying to...
Did she talk about it?
I'm sure she's mentioned it in the words. Yeah.
When she was telling you that Mr. Durst was going to visit her for the holidays, she was excited about it, correct?
Yes.
Because she loved it, correct?
Yes, yes.
And this is at least, maybe November, possibly December, just before her homicide, correct?
I'm sorry?
It was in November or December, just before her homicide, correct? That she was talking to you about Mr. Durst?
From the beginning, she would talk about it.
But in November and December of 2000, she talked to you about him as well, correct? Told you he was coming and you all were going to party, right?
What date are you looking at?
November and December of 2000.
Well, I think so, yes, yes. Okay. Sorry.
And she was happy that he was coming, correct?
Yes.
She wasn't afraid he was coming, correct?
No.
She wasn't expressing to you that she'd been arguing with him or fighting with him about anything, was she?
Not to my recollection.
She told you, this is great, my best friend's coming and you're going to love him, right?
She didn't use those words.
Well, is that the impression you got? You were looking forward to meeting him.
Yes, of course.
Okay, because he was going to show you a good time.
And networking, possibly.
Okay. So you thought that it would be to your advantage to meet Mr. Durst. And that's because Susan had told you so many wonderful things about him, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Never told you she didn't, she wishes he wasn't coming, did she?
No.
She was anxious for him to be there with her.
She seems to be, yes, from my perception.
I remember in your interview, you mentioned some producer who was Clark Taylor's friend. Did you ever figure out who that producer was?
I know the guy. I was actually going to do some work for him, but I could find out his name.
Okay, the police asked you about him, didn't they? Mr. Lewin and the police?
I don't recall.
Okay.
But
You said that you were an old friend of Clark Taylor's, and you were going to research it and give the name of the producer.
right. I gave them his social media info, I think. I think he called me and said, "Oh, wait, I got a call."
Did you ever give the information about the identity of the producer to Mr. Lewin?
I don't recall.
We've never talked before, correct?
You and I?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
So just a question.
Oh, okay, I was
It's just a question. Would you have any issue in talking to me when, would you be comfortable talking to me at some other point in time?
I mean,
You talk to them, you talk to them, you talk to me.
Yeah, you're no under no obligation to talk to anybody, but prosecutor or
if I'm
defense.
when I see you, I guess. I mean, you know, I just don't know how to answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know that I'm trying to help Mr.
Oh, no, I understand. I totally get it.
You're cool with that,
I'm
right?
cool. It'll be easy, man.
All right, no further questions.
Really?
Thank you. This interview that Mr. Chestnut was referencing you had with Mr. Lewin, did that occur?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did that occur in the year 2015?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, from my recollection. Yeah, it was. I have to look at my.
To the best of your memory, was it just 2015 sounds right?
Yes.
The interview that you had with the Los Angeles Police Department in year 2000, or actually 2001, that Mr. Chestnut was referring to?
Yes.
Where you didn't tell them that Bobby that Susan said that Bobby was coming to visit?
Did I?
No, I'm asking. The interview you had in 2001
With the police.
with the police,
Uh-huh.
where you did not say that Bobby was coming to visit, that interview.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, did the police ever ask you about Robert Durst during that interview?
I don't recall that. Not to my recollection.
Okay. Did you have any reason to think Robert Durst was a suspect in Susan's murder at that time when you spoke with the police?
No.
So, did you have any reason to believe, based on anything you knew at that time, that Robert Durst was even a suspect in Susan Berman's murder?
No.
At that time, when you spoke to the police in 2001, based on your conversations with Susan Berman, did you have anything but positive things to think about Robert Durst?
Nothing but positive, right?
Did you have any reason to tell the police that he was coming to visit in 2001
None?
when you spoke to them in 2001?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. I've no further
Additional costs. So, you thought Bob was coming around the holidays, correct?
Correct.
And the murder occurs around the holidays, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't tell the police anything about Mr. Durst, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Bailey?
Did you see her around the holidays?
I'm sorry?
Did you see Susan Berman in November, December? No, but sometime in December, did you see her?
No, I think yeah, I think I did before, yeah.
Did you let
It was a week before, yeah, yes I did, actually.
Did you let the police know that you were a suspect?
They patted me down when I went to the office, I couldn't believe that. That's what they said, I was gonna get back on the plane, you guys tried to pull that with me, man. Well, that's funny, said a brother, that was cool, I appreciate that. Yeah, you don't understand, I have post-traumatic black syndrome, man.
I like that. I'm with it.
It's my plane, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm with it.
I like his material too. Are you telling me that when you went to see the police in January, or was that you being funny or was that you being real? They actually...
This fool, I'm gonna say it, he had me, I came down there because, because I hate to frisk everybody.
Okay, wow. So they...
Yeah, because I asked some of the other people to talk to the police and they said they didn't get patted down.
Mr. Clethen, let me get this. You went to try to help the police and they patted you down? Is that what you...
Well,
I mean, I know it's LA, so
when
I'm
they
not...
took me into the, I went up into the foyer, the officer had me come into a special area, and he said they do that to everybody.
But then you You may.
Thank you, sir. You're excused.
You have exhibits to mark?
I actually don't. So there were no new exhibits. I will mark for bookkeeping purposes 137D. This indicates that the 3 exhibits representing the video have previously been marked in this trial. Next witness, Your Honor, is Emily Altman.
So when they were marked for this trial, they were,
I'll make a clear record. So what was People's 11 in the video is 76C in this trial. What was People's 36 in the video is People's 31V in this trial. What was People's 45 in the video is People's 31KK for this trial.
thank you very much, appreciate that.
They're gonna wish that they finished with this guy today, Judge, instead of the next one.
Yeah, so the next one was 5 days of testimony. It's been condensed to less than 7 hours. And we'll mark the flash drive as 138 and the transcript as 138A. 6 hours and 42 minutes.
642, 133, 133A. And this is the Emily Altman.
Yeah, raise your hand. Stand, raise your right hand.
So what are the jurors asking for, Ken?
Soon.
There's a box of them right there. Lots of boxes.
Yeah, raise your hand. Stand, raise your right hand.
You solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in the trial before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You see that? Please state and spell your first and last name.
All right.
Closer to it, put your chair to the center, right in front of that TV.
All right, Ms. Altman is present. Mr. McLean, her attorney, is nearby.
Ms. Altman, were you present while we were having this hearing when we were discussing the issues involving your testimony? You know what, it's kind of hard to hear you. Can you move that mic and maybe almost, for you're pretty soft-spoken, almost maybe talk right into it? Sure. Can you pick that up? Okay. Ma'am, do you know the individual that's seated to my left in the blue suit? Who do you know that to be? And again, if you're able to just speak up, I don't know if you're, I've heard you on the phone, I know you can have a loud phone. I know. I'm not scared, trust me. I'm not scared. If you can talk as loud as you can so we can hear you. Okay? Are you ready? Okay. Did Mr. Durst, or anyone that you are aware of who is connected to Mr. Durst, as an example, Mr. Durst's wife, Deborah Cheriton, or any of his criminal lawyers, did anybody, Mr. Durst, anyone connected to him that you are aware of, either directly or indirectly, agree to pay for now, already paid for, or agree to pay later, the New York attorneys who represented you in the litigation involving the interstate subpoena? Yes. And who was that person? Okay, can you please explain how it was arranged that you got your lawyers in New York, and specifically, who made the financial arrangements and/or the retention of those attorneys? Who sent you a lawyer?
And I'm not trying to be argumentative, but do you mean a specific person or?
Well, if you're a person or an entity, do you try to answer the best you can, and I guess we'll see if we need another question.
Okay, I think it was someone from the defense team. I don't remember exactly which person it was, I'm sorry.
Okay, by the defense team, are you referring to Mr. Durst, the defense team?
Yes.
And you said you don't know who that was?
It was either Dick DeGuerin or Kathleen. I don't remember exactly who it was.
And when they corrected you, these were to the lawyers in New York, did they tell you who was going to be paying for those lawyers?
They didn't tell me, no.
Ma'am, did you ask, hey, am I going to be paying for these lawyers?
Yes.
Okay, and what did they tell you?
What was your answer? I'm sorry, it was being taken care of. I didn't ask for specific information.
Ma'am, when they said it was being taken care of, was it your understanding that that meant that it was being paid for by Mr. Durst, either directly or indirectly? Was that your understanding?
Yes.
And when you say defense team, you mean his criminal defense team. You mentioned, it was hard to hear, you mentioned Mr. DeGuerin. Who was the second person you mentioned? Cat Bain, another lawyer on the Durst defense team. Okay. And when you were sent to this lawyer, did they explain to you what the purpose of you being sent to the lawyer was?
Yes.
Prior to, back to New York now, prior to being sent to the New York lawyers by a member of the defense team, did you ask them to get you a lawyer, or did they on their own tell you, hey, listen, here's a lawyer we're going to be providing?
At one point I said that I thought we would need an attorney.
Okay. Did you ask them at that point to get you an attorney, or did they do it on their own?
And what's I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't remember.
Okay, let's go to your California lawyers. How was it that you ended up retaining your California lawyers?
I got a letter from one of the attorneys involved, and they gave us a list of attorneys, and they said that.
Let me stop you. When you say one of the attorneys involved, who are you referring to?
Chris Garcia.
So when you say one of the attorneys, meaning attorneys working for...
In retrospect, it'd be very helpful to have a transcript.
Oh. Okay, maybe, I don't know if we missed any of that during the,
Yeah, my apologies.
during that question. No, that's fine. Thank you for letting us know. If anyone else needs it, I don't know how many transcripts you have.
There are approximately 400 pages.
We need to make more copies.
You would need to make, do you have not enough copies for these folks?
How many more do we need? Yeah, we would need to make more copies. We could try turning the treble up and the bass down on the TVs, maybe. I'm not a sound guy, but...
Can I just point out that the transcript has all the stuff that's supposed to be struck? And so you have to jump around to follow what's going on.
Right, so in other words, the redaction is obvious, so you have to skip to the next page.
I mean, you might skip several pages.
Yeah, and you can't tell because it's not blocked out.
So, okay, so,
I don't know if you want to,
okay, let's pause here. So
you want to have them back?
we have jurors, just,
I will collect the...
okay, please stop speaking. We're having a dialogue with. So,
Anyone that has a transcript that's not redacted.
so there was a dialogue with a number of the jurors expressing their concern about being able to follow in the transcript and/or hear the audio. We'll just take a moment to make what we need to do here. Can go off the record for a moment.
You're muted.
There are some copies that are not redacted that have been distributed. So ladies and gentlemen, if you saw some of the legal arguments or things I struck, anything that's redacted I struck. So disregard anything that wasn't actually on the videotape. Let me do that first of all. Next, let's collect these and correct them. So
Can we take a brief recess so we can sort it out on the
Sure.
Just
So
like maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and shall we excuse our jurors into the hallway for a few minutes, or do we need that?
That'd be a good idea, Your Honor.
That's
I
good.
think as a precaution, Your Honor, maybe we should collect all the transcripts just as a precaution.
Yeah, I think we should. Has anyone made any notes on the transcript? You probably wouldn't, because we collect them. So let's collect them and take a break until 2:50 p.m. 10-minute break.